I have the pleasure to be here with two distinguished leaders of industry organization to discuss how we can innovate better together with all stakeholders in the value chain, and better together as industry organizations, the three of us. Sometimes the value of industry organizations and the value of industry standards is getting challenged. The last thing I heard most probably, and that was a quote from a C-level executive of an airline, that most probably was deliberately over the top to provoke some thought. He said that we should ask 15-year-old teenagers what is next in technology in travel, and we should not let industry organizations set standards. Of course, I mean, we have some limits, but on the other hand, I believe we all are very convinced about the strengths of the value that we are creating to the industry and the strengths of our business models. I tried this morning to make the case for ATPCO, and now I ask Mike and Alex about their thoughts. Maybe after a short introduction of your role, your mission, your vision, you could describe a project that you are passionate about and how you engaged other stakeholders in the value chain in the process. Mike, do you want to set us up?
Happy to, Ralph. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mike Primo, the President and CEO of ARC. For those of you that don't know us, we're the BSP for the US. I just want to thank Ralph, Tom, Kevin, the team for inviting me to be here today. Our mission is to provide proven solutions that advance and unify the industry. We really take that last phrase very seriously, unify the industry, because we have to operate together. This is an industry in which we have to cooperate, and that's a really important word, cooperate. We have to operate together. We live in an ecosystem where we're going to interline, where we're going to have IROPs, where we're going to have alliances, we're going to have relationships where we all have to collaborate. And that's an attitude that we bring forward in all of our work. We had a wake-up call in 2008. We lost an arbitration to the travel agency community. It really set us back on our heels that, gosh, we could be wrong about something and have an independent arbiter say we were wrong. We really re-examined ourselves, our relationship with the agency community, and said, we've got to change. We've got to treat them much more like customers, engage with them, and move forward. And one of the early opportunities that we had to show how we changed was working with Alex on a direct data solution product. That started in 2011. And today we've got over 70 airlines participating in that program, contributing their data into a database that now adds up to over 1 billion tickets a year that combines the ARC data, the IATA data, and about half of those carriers are actually sending us their direct web booking data as well into that database. So a really good, I think, success story of introducing a competitive product. In 2013, we established our debit memo working group. That really brought the entire value chain together, ATPCO, IATA, the agency community, GDSs, other technology providers, carriers, of course. And that's been a great model to address a real bane of this industry, the debit memo. And we've made a tremendous amount of progress in understanding and updating the processes around that. So we are huge believers in the benefits of collaboration to the whole community.
Yep. Thank you, Mike. Alex?
Thank you very much. And Rolf, just to say congratulations and thank you very much for the invitation here. I think there's a real renewal in ATPCO, and long may it continue under your leadership. So just for IATA, if I look at the vision of IATA, some key words which are relevant for today is force for value creation and innovation, safe, secure, and profitable industry. I mean, my role in IATA is about financial and distribution services. We manage something like $350 billion of financial settlement business around the world. And also, my focus is on standards and solutions for distribution, payment, and in partnership with Mike in travel intelligence. And a third area is we've heard a lot about the word ecosystem, the innovation ecosystem. I'm mandated within IATA also to look at innovation from a kind of an industry perspective, but my focus is very much on how do we accelerate? Because it's one thing about ideas, it's about the adoption of ideas to deliver benefit fast. So I'm particularly exercised by the speed by which we collaborate to make it happen. So it's about the speed of innovation. And I think, Rolf, just adding to Mike's point, I mean, I'm very gratified to see so much talk about NDC. It tells us that we are collaborating together. And I think the truth is, it's only by collaborating together we can deliver with speed together. And we've got to get out of our airline-centric view and take the value chain view. Is my experience, that's the key to success. And NDC's actually established that. If I look at the story of NDC, I reflect on today, we have corporate buyers that we're engaging with directly on NDC in both Europe and in the USA, and they themselves as corporate buyers are saying merchandising, showing the full product offering is the way to go from me, the corporate buyer perspective. We have travel management companies. I think, Tom, you mentioned the airlines. I wish it was 45. The target is 45. We're merely at 41, but we're going to get there. And that will account, I was close, but that will account for 50% of IATA members' volume in terms of capability. So we've come a long way. However, I do reflect how it started. It was like being invited to someone's party and them saying, "Who are you?" It was a party of others. It was a party of technology partners, of travel agents, and then IATA inserting itself into that world. And I think, Jerry, I can remember some pretty heated exchanges. So sometimes with collaboration, you need to shake the tree in order to get things moving. So I think NDC, if I reflect on where we are today, I think the story of collaboration is the right way to go and speaks for itself. I think a challenge for NDC going forward is to translate all this talk and capability into real volume. Yeah, and benefits will come with volume. And I think one thing we're going to have to reflect on is, for IATA, is moving from a world of a consensus approach to the concept of leaders and followers. Leaders show the way, followers embrace the learning points, and it's a virtuous cycle.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Mike, for these contributions. I guess listening to that, most probably it would be more difficult for a 15-year-old to deal with these issues. Alex, you mentioned an interesting point that you are adding to the slogan that you are now using in IATA for innovation better together, that you are focusing now a lot as well on speed and on implementation. And I think that resonates very much as well on our side when we are talking about deliver value together. So I believe, and coming here to the second group of questions, and I think you touched it already, both of you, in your answers, to talk about areas where we as industry organization can better work together. And a part of it most probably is not only the ideation, but apart from it, and a big part on it should be definitely the implementation, because no value is created in the industry as long as the solutions that we are producing or providers are producing are used in the industry. And unfortunately, that happens a lot, and ecosystem governance could help a lot. Maybe we could talk about some projects that we could put into an industry platform. And I remember that years ago, actually, we had, the three of us, we had a strategic alliance, as far as I remember, the only formal strategic alliance called ARA, ATPCO, IATA, and ARC, that was dealing with first and final settlement. Maybe for some projects we could establish a similar platform and maybe even invite other industry organizations to be there to better leverage industry investments. From our perspective, I only want to put very quickly 4 projects on the table that we would like to see there. One you have already mentioned, that is definitely NDC. NDC has to be brought forward, and we would like to bring in NDC, really our message hub, or the message hub that we are creating together with another industry organization, CETA. We believe as well that we definitely, ATPCO would like to continue with both of you in the ADM side and in the data, on the data side. And I believe we will agree at the end that taxes is still really an ugly problem for the industry that we should tackle, and ATPCO would like to contribute to a solution here, the ATPCO tax calculator. Any thoughts to these?
Yeah, so I think the AIA definitely time for renewal, because we've talked about value chain collaboration from a kind of a customer point of view. So let's be credible and talk about value chain creation by collaborating AIA. Maybe CETA should make it Asia, I don't know. but I think the common factor is we're all industry-owned bodies. Surely, of all people, when we talk about collaboration, we should be collaborating together. So I'm definitely up for it. And I think just briefly adding to your points, I can see some tangible areas, and Rolf, I would agree with you. If I look at the world of, I mean, I know we talk about NDC, but we're really talking about the world of transforming offers and orders, and NDC makes the best of today's world of tickets, PNRs, and EMDs, which was built in a pre-internet age. The world of one order is about simplification, getting rid of tickets, PNRs, and EMDs, and really playing catch-up with an internet age based on a universal custom order. So I definitely see one area of us collaborating on offers and orders, and I believe each of us brings something to that table. IATA brings standards. We may bring some utilities. You certainly will bring utilities. I think the NDC messaging hub or the NDC exchange is an excellent example of ATPCO added value on behalf of the industry. In terms of offers and orders, Mike and I have been talking about, we're looking at our settlement system and we're saying, it's doing good. Not sure where the volume's coming from, but one day we've got to think about our futures and make sure our industry is in good hands. So from an ARC and IATA point of view, we're exploring doing, if you like, a kind of an end-to-end one order and settlement trial, looking at it for our stakeholders, but also looking at it at the relevance of ARC and IATA going forward. So I think those are 2 areas. Taxation, completely agree with you. It's the second certain thing about life. I think you know what the other certain thing about life is. Taxation costs the industry something like tax fees and charges about $35 billion. And if you look at the origin of it, it is can be complex. It creates unnecessary wasted cost, reworking, audit, penalties for not understanding the rule in the first place. And I think this is a great opportunity. In fact, ATPCO and IATA work very closely together on a key issue of the India Global Services Tax. IATA had been advocating but failing to make much difference with the Indian government. And then we realized we needed a simple solution, and we realized that the partnership with ATPCO, we would bring standards and processes, ATPCO would bring data and pricing automation, and together we were able to communicate to the industry a practical solution. So I would say definitely those 2 areas should be among the list for the 3 of us.
Thank you. Mike?
Certainly, I fully agree with the vision that both of you put out there. I would emphasize probably 2 things. One, the data area. We're certainly going to keep the debit memo work going, but in the data arena, there's lots of opportunity. Our teams have been meeting with Rolf's recently to look at how we can put published fares and purchase tickets together and create more valuable product offerings by combining the data sets. Alex is also launching a data symposium, which will be in Miami in November, looking at not just sort of the traditional tickets and fares areas, but expanding that to the vast amounts of industry data that are out there, and how we can collect that data and create even more value for the industry based on having better visibility into the industry data at large rather than just strictly the passenger purchase and fare data. And lastly, I think, as you say, the future of one order in completing the vision of NDC is terribly important. Collaboration amongst us as we head down that path and given thought to, is that a blockchain environment for the future? Shared ledger technology certainly brings a lot to the party in terms of settlement and the reducing the requirements around audit. So very excited about potential future work and collaboration in both of those areas.
Yeah, it looks like that we agree that we have certain projects on a list that would be worthwhile, that we are putting together and maybe have some further conversations whether or not we put a more structured framework around that and work in and give those who have the specific capabilities maybe the lead in it. It must not be always a gremium or the three of us leading it, but I would think it would be good to have an industry platform where we decide that certain projects make sense and that we vigorously support ourselves in these areas. I think that would help a lot.